You're going to be playing solo on what is billed as the world's largest tuned drum set. I got to ask you, what is this tour like? What can we expect seeing you perform just alone solo on this drum set?
Well, it's it's different than anything you've seen before. It's not something that's easily described because most people, think of drumming as just what they see on TV, what they hear on the radio, keep the beat, and that's part of what I do. But what I've done is over the years developed a concept of playing melodically on a drum set. So I have a drum set that's tuned chromatically on the left and diatonically on the right, with 8 different bass drums tuned to different pitches, so I can play melodies and harmonies.
Gosh.
And I compose my own music, and it's something that nobody else is doing, which doesn't make it easy to talk about.
We were on the website just looking at the rundown. I mean, obviously you've played different kits throughout your career, but this is titled the Big Kit. It's got 26 toms, 2 snares, 8 bass drums. I mean, 53 cymbals. How did you arrive at such a intricate kit?
Well, I started with a fairly big drum set in terms of this evolution.
Right.
For many years, I considered myself just a kind of a jazz drummer or a rock drummer. But by the time I guess I left Missing Persons, I had built my own electronic drum set, which had 36 sounds in it. And when I went back to playing acoustic, I needed all those sounds. So, it's kind of started from there. I was doing what are called drum clinic seminars, which is basically a solo performance and kind of teaching your techniques to other drummers. And I had sort of a captive audience there without commercial restrictions, so I developed this style of accompanying myself and playing sort of like a pianist would play on a drum set. So one thing at a time, I got up to this stupid amount of instruments that I play. And, it's not like drumming is sort of like buying a piano, one key at a time or one note at a time. And if you want to play melodies, you really need more notes than just, 2 toms and a snare and a bass.
Right.
So that's how it started, and it's just developed over the years. And here I am, at 65, looking back over my shoulder, and no other drummers, all the ones I've taught and at these seminars or given lessons to, nobody's really following this concept. So I find myself being, the only one out there doing that. And what have we been talking about, 5 minutes now? That's how long it takes to kind of describe what I do. Whereas the advantage of being, a metal band that's called, well, you name it, Black Angel with blood dripping off it, you kind of know what you're going to get from that kind of band. And, for Terry Bozzio solo drum artists, it's more like, I guess the hook is the circus act of the come see the biggest drum kit in the world sort of thing, which it's not. There are guys in the Guinness Book of World Records that have larger and slightly less intelligent assemblages of drums than me.
Right. I noticed you made the distinction of tuned in the title, the largest tuned drum set. Is that because of, like you were saying, the chromatic on one side and the diatonic on the other? Is that because you are? I've seen you play the instrument and you're actually pulling out melodies while keeping the rhythm. Was that something that you were specifically kind of thinking of when you're putting all of this together? How do I play melodies? How do I advance the drums?
It wasn't such a black and white. One day you're this, the next day you're that decision. It just came sort of as an evolution, a natural a natural evolution over many years. let's say I started with a 7-tom kit and I had some bongos, and the bongos have a skin head, so they go out of tune, and you're kind of used to playing a certain bunch of melodies, and if they don't stay in tune, then that kind of throws you off. So you think, okay, I'm going to make a bank of just 8 piccolo toms, and that way they'll stay pretty much in tune.
Right.
And so, it's things like that, decisions like that. Technology in drumming has made a lot of progress, and a lot of people aren't really, using the possibilities of what can be done. So another thing that helped me was having a rack system instead of tripods. And you look under your tom-toms, and there's no tripods, and you go, well, I can put a pedal there and get another bass note, and such and such and so and so. You just kind of move along that direction, and here I am with what I've got.
It's incredible. I mean, when you look at the photographs and you see all of the pedals underneath, obviously coordinating to different items on the set, it makes me think that this must be a quite a production just to play gigs. I mean, to get the set up and feeling right. How long does it take? What kind of production is that for you when you're setting up for a gig? How do you transport this set?
Well, I have a trailer and an SUV, and I drive, and I have one tech who's a really great tech. I brought him over from Holland. He's a formerly classically trained musician who got more into the tech side and works at a drum shop in Amsterdam. And he helps me, and we set the thing up with a sound check, kind of in a relaxed way. Our basic routine is about 4 hours. We could probably do it in 2 if we busted our ass, but, it's better to take your time and make sure everything's right.
I mean, and also the maintenance. I would imagine if you're changing out heads and hardware and all sorts of things, that there's because a lot of musicians, it's like they play, they have some gear and a piece of gear will go out. With this thing, it seems like there is. You've got to run it like a NASCAR. You got to be on it at all times.
That's a very good analogy. Yeah, I think today I'm out looking for a power supply for my Korg wave drum, which stopped working on me. And but in terms of drum heads, that's one good thing. I designed my own drum heads with a TAC company, and they have not been changed since I built this drum set. So that's about 8 to 10 years or so. So
wow.
My heads are very good. They have a steel rim, so they're supported better, and they stay in tune better, and they don't break so easily.
And having played this set for so long and being so comfortable with the larger sets, I mean, not necessarily just the big set, but other larger sets, do you feel that, can you have fun when you are playing, like, say, a 4-piece or 5-piece set? Does that kind of, is it limiting to you because you've used bigger sets for so long?
No, there's sort of a balance aspect to music where the less things you have, the more things you can do with it, and the more things become apparent. So, and vice versa, So it's kind of the many on one or the one on the many.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I can have fun. I just can't do a 2-hour plus show, with 3 notes. You would get tired of those 3 notes, no matter how inventive I could get.
Right. Speaking of that, you're talking about on this tour, you're going to be doing, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to be doing some drum parts from some stuff that spans a little bit of your career, but also some improvisation.
With this tour, I have many things going on right now. One of the things I have is a DVD that's coming out in November that's called A History of Terry Bozzio, and that was done with an all-star Japanese group of famous musicians over there, and filmed for DVD, where I played Zappa tunes, Brecker tunes, Beck tunes, Missing Persons, and UK I sang. and BLS and some other things. And that's sort of a history of Terry Bozzio project. Then before that, last year I released a Terry Bozzio Composer Series, which is another side of me that I've been composing and actually an artist for since the early 70s.
Right.
And so I released a music and art project called Terry Bozzio Composer Series. Has 60 compositions with several movements on some songs, and there's a painting to go along with every movement and every piece.
Cool.
And that can be got on Ward Records out of Japan, wardrecords.com. And it's also available on iTunes. And then there's my solo drum aspect, which is what I've been doing on my own here, and what I continue to do, and is the closest thing to my heart. And that is playing real music, real melodies with a MIDI system that helps to reinforce the tuning of the drum set, so you can really hear the fundamental pitch of each drum. And, playing the compositions that were designed for that specific performance.
Right.
And they're constantly evolving. There's a little bit of classical influence. The only jazz influence is really improvisation, which is, as far as I know, kind of a unique American innovation, and the drum set is a unique American innovation. So I'm taking it to another level by making real music with melody and harmony and dynamics and orchestration on the drum set. So I'm not doing anything that hasn't been done for over 400 years. I'm just doing it on an instrument that has not done that in ever, I guess.
It's quite spectacular, too, because I know you are on the innovative side of things, obviously developing you have several patents and things that are kind of to help assist you with the drumming. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've developed, I guess, for this set and maybe other things that in the electronic drum world?
Yeah, I always seem to be fooling around. One of the first things I did with my brother Richard was in a metal shop in high school, and he helped to make a tom holder so I could hold 2 toms on my single tom drum set when we were just kids. And, it's kind of continued on from there. I've always fiddled around with things and look at something and go, wouldn't it be better if it did this? Or wouldn't it work better for me if I could have this? So I've invented a tuning locking mechanism that prevents the drums from going out of tune so much.
Wow.
They still go out of tune because of humidity and temperature and that effect on the wood and the plastic. But, they pretty much, comparatively, they stay locked in tune. And there are days where I don't have to touch them, and they just stay in tune. Then there's beater ball sound enhancers, which are little instruments you can clip onto your bass drum beater ball, like a tambourine jingle or finger cymbals or shakers that, castanets that will make that sound along with the bass drum sound. And, the electronic kit I got 3 patents for, and we started to manufacture the pad, but that was back in the 80s when the electronics market fell apart.
Right.
But that was released as the TBX pad through DW. And so many things.
Wow.
I still continue to do little things like this, and there's part of us in drumming that have this the classical percussion aspect to it, and that influence really uses the creation of sound in a musical way. So, people like Emil Richards in Los Angeles, who's like a first call studio musician, plays on every movie and every soundtrack, and does commercials and things, is constantly looking at combinations of weird sounds or techniques that percussionists can use to make a sound. And that's interesting. So, I use techniques like that as well. Like a Super Ball mallet on a gong can make, very interesting friction sounds.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I have things from a 99-cent store in Japan that I use to clip on my feet, and they make an interesting sound, and I do some stuff with that. It's a constant experimental, sort of what's the word? Act, I guess.
Right. I mean, it's
constant experimentation.
It seems it's like you're talking about getting dollar store things and clipping them onto you. Every step that you're making is a musical one. Is there a?
Yeah. Well, the music is a different thing. I mean, it's related. All creativity is related in that it comes from the subconscious and. But when, anybody can make noise,
Sure.
Taking the garbage out of a restaurant and closing the dumpster door, might be a sound that I want to sample and use in another way. But
Right.
to use it in a way that's musical, that moves people or excites them or raises the big question mark over their head, is the sort of desire. And so that's a whole different discipline.
I was going to ask you. There's, being that you've played with so many great artists over the years, and obviously played huge shows. Sometimes some musicians will feel pressure, with a larger audience, or say like a gig like auditioning for Frank Zappa. There's a pressure. What do you do in these situations for you to kind of stay mentally focused? To not be affected by these outside pressures?
I think looking into this on a psychological level, the simple answer is to just get through it.
Right.
You just get through it with the best that you know at the time. And of course, I was scared to death. I didn't sleep for 3 days when I got the audition and heard some of Frank Zappa's music for the first time.
Jeez.
But nowadays, I really. I look at it more like you and I don't know maybe much about neurosurgery.
Sure.
So, I'm going to give you, the best neurosurgery that I can, but you don't really need to know the technical aspects of it,
Right.
And I don't really get nervous anymore. Once you start doing really your own thing, then you don't have to compete. You're just kind of competing with yourself and how good you can do what you had in mind on any given night.
So you obviously, with repetition, you're very comfortable. Do you have any kind of rituals for yourself before you go on, like as far as getting loose, limbering, or a meditation of something?
Yeah, I basically do. I practice something I don't know how to do. I'm constantly developing. Finding weak spots in my technique,
right.
And working on those areas. And I develop exercises that multitask, like instead of just warming up my hands and then warming up my feet, I develop exercises that deal with almost geometric shapes between my four limbs and use the permutation aspects of melody or rhythm to get all the possibilities of what the area is I'm working in. And if you do that, you get three things accomplished at once. One is you warm up your whole body, not just one area of your body.
Right.
The second thing is you learn how to do new things. And the third thing is you're concentrating so hard on learning this new stuff, you don't really think about the show. The adrenaline comes just when they say you're on, and
right.
Then you go on, and then something else takes over that's sort of a subconscious thing that all musicians talk about. Something comes through you, and you just try and ride it like a surfer catching a good wave and don't fall off the board,
Right. Yeah. I've heard talk that some drummers like to take a day away from the drums, and it may kind of help improve the growth process. Do you ever take time off of the drums playing in any way? Do you ever do any of that? What's the longest you've gone without playing drums?
Oh, God, probably about 6 months or so.
Wow.
The exigencies of just living and business, kind of require that at times. Michael Brecker, who's a brilliant musician, and the last time I saw him play before he died, I think he was approaching complete mastery of the saxophone. He was just ridiculous, and a beautiful person. And he said to me, you never get worse if you don't practice, at a certain point in
right.
your life, but you don't move forward. And so, I practice to move forward.
It's incredible. You know what? I've got to be honest. This is thrilled to be able to speak with you, and we're so looking forward to this performance coming up in Oakland on the 23rd. One last question: a fan wanted to know. You mentioned the history of Terry Bozzio, the tour that you did in Japan, and the release. Are you planning on doing a U.S. tour of this caliber?
I seriously doubt it. I feel like a one-man cultural warrior against the complete and utter devastation and devaluation of music in America. I've never seen it this bad.
Wow.
I don't get royalties. I get $50 worth of paper that says, we can't cut you a check until it reaches $50, and the thousandths of a percent of what they pay for streaming my music online, or YouTube people pirating things and putting it up, stuff that's for sale in a store that they could buy, they do not pay for anymore. So, until the law and the sense of fairness and judgment and ethics comes back to this country, I'm out here just doing what I can.
Sure.
Not that I, don't feel completely grateful that people come and see me and that I get to play, because that's really at the end of the day, I just want to live and play and share my ideas with other people. But it'd be nice to be able to not have to be under so much pressure, or to have the luxury of doing things that like this project, put a band together. But the way it stands right now, I'm getting paid the most a theater or a small theater or a club can pay me. So if I were to put a band together, you could just divide that up by the members of the band.
Right.
And I would not be able to do this at all.
Well, you bring up a great point. I mean, how much the things have changed. Obviously, the music industry and just being, artists trying to get paid for the work in 2016.
Yeah, I have a friend who's the keyboardist with Oingo Boingo, Richard Gibbs.
Right.
He's now a famous film score composer and doing the thing in Hollywood for music for movies and things. And so, he wants to start. He's a very intellectual guy, and he has a great concept, which is called a National Day of Sharing. And it's going to be on Black Friday, and he's been trying to get this going, but I personally don't have the guts to do it. But he's inviting all musicians to go commit larceny on that day. Just walk into a store, take an apple, take a bite out of it, and go, hey, you take my music for free, so I'm going to eat this apple here. Or go to a coat store and get a coat and say, I'm cold, you download my music, so I'll just take this coat to keep warm.
Yeah.
People don't really understand that that's exactly what they're doing, because they're all alone and nobody can catch them.
Right.
So go ahead on and develop your karma.
Well, Terry, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us, and we really look forward to your solo performance here at Yoshi's on the 23rd, and also we wish you the best of luck for the remainder of the tour.
Well, thank you so much. I will do it until I can't breathe.
Well, hopefully that's a very long time. So we look forward to the new innovations that you're going to be bringing to us and the new performances. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
You got it. Take care, Terry. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.